The community has a lot of hot takes when it comes to competitive Fortnite. So I had my team collect some thoughts from you guys, and some of these are extremely hot takes. Let's read them. Levi says Puyo is in his prime, which is true, but Peterbot has lost his spark. Puyo will drop Peter if they have a poor performance at globals. Okay, I agree with the first part. I think Puyo is in his prime. I think there are some tournaments recently where he is definitely playing better than Peter, but Puyo dropping Peterbot if they have a poor performance at globals does not make sense. At the most recent LAN where everybody's playing, they got second place. Even after they were trailing severely in day one, they ended up finishing top 2 by day 2. That is still an insanely good performance. And in the most recent FNCS, they finished in 7th place. While that isn't the same as them winning every single FNCS, one bad performance at globals is not going to cause Puyo to drop Peter. And I think Puyo is the type to stick with Peter. If anything, Peter was kind of the one to drop Puyo in chapter 6, and it backfired because Puyo went on to win an FNCS without him. I think they'll stay together even if they have a poor performance at globals, but I doubt they'll even have a poor performance at globals. Budgie says Clix will never win an FNCS. He's had multiple chances in trios and duos and failed. He's gotten the best teammates / POI. Okay, he's had some pretty good teammates. Veno, Epic Whale, Higgs. But it's not like he hasn't come close. He's finished in the top 5 multiple times. He finished second place one time. He's consistently amongst the top 10 teams in every FNCS he's pretty much played. So if he stays consistent like that, eventually he will get one. I think it's going to involve him streaming a little bit less during the FNCS and focusing purely on winning. But it's still possible. The only thing that will hold him back, in my opinion, is his own passion and desire as he gets older. He just turned 21 years old this year, so he's not too old for competitive Fortnite, but once you hit 23, 24, you're on the old end of competitive players. There's not a lot of competitive players that are over 23 years old. So he has a few years to make it happen. The question is, can he keep that passion and drive for competitive for the next couple of years? If he can and he plays in every single FNCS for the next 2 years, I think he at least gets one. Kronos says Kanata's career is finally in decline. Pros taking pay from content creators like Lacey and Fax will become a more regular thing. I mean, it becoming a more regular thing, there's only a small amount of content creators that are willing to pay thousands of dollars for pro players to play with them. It makes sense for Faxity and Lacey. It does well for them viewership wise. They probably make more money from those streams than what they're paying the creators. But there's not a lot of creators out there that are going to make more money playing competitive than, I'll just give an example, like myself. If I was to pay a pro player like $5,000 or $10,000 to play a Fortnite tournament with me, I'm probably not making that money back from those streams. It's probably not going to be a huge boost for me. I make more than that just doing regular content. So there's a very small pool of competitive focused content creators that could pay the thousands of dollars these pros want and would actually benefit from doing so. So I don't think it's going to be like a regular thing. And Kanata's career being in decline or not, I mean, he's qualified for every single FNCS since chapter 2. So whether he decides this one FNCS where he doesn't qual to be the start of his decline, it's really up to him. I think he's still mechanically decent enough and has the experience to play at a high level. Dave says the reason really good all-time players like Queasy, Kanata, Vanya, and Murstache Tayson are struggling and the newer faces are doing better is because surge trading is no longer a thing. Ooh, this is a bit spicy. Okay, so he's saying that the established long-time good players were better at coordinating surge trading back in the day because they had the connections, they had the rapport with the other players to surge tag and surge trade. And now that surge trading is no longer a thing due to the changes that Fortnite made, they have to get surge tags on their own and they're not keeping up. I sort of agree with this. I wouldn't necessarily just target those specific players, but I do agree that the change that they made to surge trading allows for players who are not in the cliques and in like the circles of pro players that kind of are friends with each other to have a chance at shining. Because truly, back in the day, when surge trading was a thing, there was a lot of situations where you had duos that are all friends together and they happen to land near each other and they happen to shoot at each other to get surge tags. And if a third party team lands there that isn't a part of the friend group, that third party team ends up getting griefed, focused, teamed on. Yes, some of these top tier 1 pros, respected professionals have been teaming. They have been surge trading. Some of them are just better at not getting caught. And that's all it really came down to when it comes to that. So this change does help newer faces have a chance because you can't team in that way anymore. Eclipse says NA East would revive this game. That's it. Like NA East competitive. He wants NA East to make a return. I mean, I'm a little bit biased because I live in Texas. I'm on NA Central. So the tournaments being on NA Central does help me, but I don't think NA East is going to revive this game. I do feel bad for all the players on NA East who have to play on high ping for these tournaments. Coach Frostbite says, Rapid is the best teammate that Clix could have played with, even considering Pete, Acorn, etc. I mean, he's got a point because it does come down to team synergy and the team morale. Like, Clix could team up with Peterbot and they would just be fighting each other. Like they'd be arguing with each other over and over. Or when he teamed up with Veno and like Veno and him didn't really mesh or get along that well, that held them back as well. So Rapid and Clix seem to be on better terms, better team chemistry, better communication. And, you know, it could be the best teammate that he has. Kevo, bringing back NA East and NA West will allow more players to compete at a tier 1 level, which will bring new players in every so many years, which will help keep the game viewership high and player count high. It's not realistic to have to move hours and hours away from home to compete. I mean, the players in Texas and, you know, Florida and anywhere that wasn't, you know, in Virginia all had to move to Virginia to compete at a high level. So it's the same thing, but I do think there are more people on NA East that have to play on high ping than there were on NA Central that had to play on high ping when the servers were NA East. I just don't think it's going to have that much of an impact on viewership or player count. I just think it's going to allow more people to compete. Vinci, competitive Fortnite will start to become a big focus for Fortnite after the recent success in viewership, which will cause seasons to be more comp focused. Also to allow more casual players into comp. There will be a zero build grands. I don't know if there's gonna be a zero build FNCS grands. Zero build is still, you know, still has a little bit of an issue because whenever there's zero build tournaments, there's way more hackers in zero build than other game modes. And I don't know if Fortnite seasons are gonna be focused on competitive. I do think we're gonna get more competitive content because there's a big focus and viewership on competitive is high. But at the end of the day, like Fortnite still really is a casual game for most people. Collage says Peterbot is not the GOAT. NA players and Veno are just too scared to stand on business. Because he's the GOAT. That's why. Berg says Brazil, West, Oceania, and Asia, and Middle East should play for V-Bucks, and EU should get all their prize pools. Okay, that's a bit much. That's a bit much. Playing for V-Bucks, that's just disrespectful. Yes, those regions are not as competitive as EU, but it's not like it's breaking Fortnite's back to provide the prize pools. Like they've paid over $1 billion to Fortnite creative maps. I'm sure these thousands of dollars they're paying for like the smaller regions is not gonna really tip the scales for them. Peyton says NA would have the best fighters and more up and coming talent if they got rid of NA West and made it NA East and NA Central. Dude, so many people want NA East. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I don't know. Nathan says being contested in grands can be a benefit for a tier 1 team if the other team doesn't play to grief. Yeah, I mean, you can potentially fight them, get surge tags, get elimination points, but I don't think anyone intends to play to grief in the beginning. It's just like they unintentionally grief by, you know, not being good enough to fight the other team, so they have to do what they have to do. Octo says Clix is a tier 2 now. 10th uncon wonky, 72nd at land, failed to qualify EWC, 10th uncon sunken. Tier 2, I mean, that's a little bit ridiculous. Like, well, if Clix is a tier 2, then there's only like 20 players or less that are tier 1 because he's still averaging over top 10 placement. Yeah, he had a couple fumbles here and there, but like he's still a tier 1. He's still very much a tier 1. Roll X says Sky and Scroll are a better duo than Prime, Peterbot, and Puyo. Won 2 FNCS in a row without any Mythics, Medallion, or Forecast. They got 4th at LAN and didn't miss a single Division Cup of the year. Sky and Scroll are definitely making a case for being a top duo of all time. You know, 2 FNCS in a row on the hardest region. But I don't agree when he says without any Mythics, Medallions, or Forecasts. Like, you still have to fight for those things. And in the same, you know, year where Peterbot and Puyo went perfect in chapter 6 or chapter 5, and they had the 6for6 cash cups, they also won the LAN. They got first place in the LAN. So like they had a prime that is almost impossible to top. They literally were winning every single tournament. So are we going to discount it just because they had Mythics and Medallions that other players could have fought them for? Fortnite coach Dottie says a Little League World Series style championship would be epic. Qualifiers through schools to ensure competitive integrity. Give the 10 to 12-year-olds a chance to become Fortnite legends. I mean, it would be fun to watch like 10 to 12-year-olds compete in Fortnite. There probably wouldn't be a prize pool or whatnot, because I think like legally it'd have to be like no prize pool, but maybe they could be playing for scholarship money or like, yeah, something like that would be cool. But to add on to that, they should also do a 30-plus-year-old Fortnite tournament where you have to be 30-plus to compete. I would love to play in that. Wade says majorly buffing aim assist is great player count wise. 75% of Fortnite players play on controller. Buffing it will lower the gap between the average KBM and controller player, making so the majority feel as they can compete. Victory cups are so popular because of the same reason. So I'm a mouse and keyboard player, so I'm a little bit biased when I say like I don't want controller players to have super strong aim assist, right? I would prefer if everybody just played on a mouse and keyboard. However, I have noticed that in the most recent seasons, aim assist has been slightly better. Some of the guns are, more suited for aim assist. There's some more settings that Fortnite has added to improve aim assist. And most players do play on controller. So having stronger aim assist potentially means higher player satisfaction, which means more players, which means more viewers. So at the end of the day, I'll be honest, if you got to give controller players borderline aimbot to save the game, do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do. Dalty says the 14 event requirement is slowly killing comp and it should be removed. So I'll give you an interesting piece of information about this. I couldn't play in tournaments because every time I would try to play, there's like a 14 event requirement that I would forget about. And then I'm like, oh, I got to play 14 tournaments. Then I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to do that. Fortnite has started like whitelisting certain trusted creators, and they don't have to play the 14 events to play the tournaments. They do this because the whole reason of the 14 event requirement is to prevent people from hacking and cheating. And it's done a pretty good job at deterring hackers and cheaters. That you can't just like hop on a new account that hasn't played any events and then start cheating. So maybe it should be reduced, or maybe there should be a way for an account to like permanently remove the 14 event requirements if they're trusted in some way or if they're an Epic partner. But at the end of the day, like hacking is still an issue. So if they remove it completely, it's going to be worse and worse. Kevo says another one I think is also removing ARs and all long range guns from the game. I don't know about that. I don't agree. Hay says, hot take. Clix really needs to try out another coach. His FNCS win depends on it. I'll explain. BloodX is the only coach Clix has ever been coached by. Maybe Clix's playstyle is not a match with BloodX's strategies, or maybe he gets another coach and realizes that he prefers BloodX. I mean, it's always good to try new coaches. I mean, I'm not against it. I think BloodX is a fantastic coach, but maybe mentally Clix needs a different coach. I don't know. Sir Dion, competitive solo is a necessity. It is the most fun mode to watch. The storylines it creates are amazing, and it gives nameless players a way to make their mark without needing a teammate. I mean, if it's any proof, the Fortnite World Cup solos was one of the most watched, most talked about tournaments of all time. Mr. Griff says console needs their own FNCS like in Chapter 2, but with 1/3 of the PC prize pool. I mean, I'm all for console FNCS. Don't even like segregate it to just PlayStation or Xbox. Like just do like a Xbox, PS5, console cup, and then do like a mobile and then like a Switch tournament as well. Psych says Fortnite needs to make picking up items work by holding down a pickup bind, just like a macro, but now everyone is just as fast as each other and you don't need special setups and equipment, so it's fair. Okay, so a lot of people do macro to pick things up. Like they have a thing on their keyboard where they press the pickup button and it auto picks up like 1,000,000 times a second. He's saying that they should basically have a macro type mechanic where when you like press the pick up an item, it spams the button for you, so that using a macro doesn't give you an advantage. And I actually agree. Or they should put a limiter on how many times the pickup button can be pressed to where it's more realistic for someone to just press the pickup button as fast as they can with their finger, and it matches if somebody's trying to use a macro. Because right now, if someone's macroing and you're just using your finger to press the button normally, they're going to get all the stuff from the chest 100% of the time. Aiden says zones need to be reworked or something. No type right zones and one zone in every other corner. 9 middle zones is wild, especially in this new search. I think the zones are just random. They're just random, really. Sometimes you're just gonna have bad luck. Fortnite coach Dottie says a season with limited movement, something like peppers and fizzberries and 40 to 60 player map for BR would be awesome. I do think sometimes limited movement creates for situations where you kind of have to be smart with your positioning. You kind of have to be smart with your rotation, plan ahead, and you're punished for your mistakes a little bit more. But at the same time, you're more reliant on the zone. So like if you have limited movement and the zone just keeps pulling away from you, that kind of screws you over. Snick says Sky and Scroll will be the best duo to ever grace the game, as they will never split. Time will tell. Time will tell. Arctic says Virgo in 4 months will be known as the new best player in the world. Plus Shark hype will die off. Virgo's pretty good. I don't know if Shark's hype's gonna die off though. He's been doing really well even recently. You know, he has not slowed down at all. Jack says we're gonna see a lot of top players intentionally stopping other teams in their heats from qualifying to Grand so they can take their drop spot. Example, Pete to Edgy at Brutal Boxcars, and Veno's planning to do it to Booga and Bucky in this season. I mean, that's just smart play. I think he's right. Players are going to play the system. Zut says the servers for comp should be in Florida. Hell no. SM Alpha says skin cups need to be easier to get the skin, like top 1,000. Okay, I agree. I remember when I used to play the skin cups back in the day, like it was like top 5,000 got the skin. Like it was like not hard at all to get the skin. I mean, it was still challenging, but if you were just like a semi-competitive player, even if you don't have like a lot of earnings, that you could get the skin. Now the skin cups are literally FNCS. Like they actually, it is hard to get the skin. It is challenging to get the skin. It doesn't really cost Epic too much to give like an extra 1,000 or 2,000 skins. Like loosen up a bit. Spread the love. Berg says every single LAN should have a 3-day format where LAN equals and EU should have 70% of LAN spots for every LAN minimum. I mean, I do like the 3-day format. It creates more content, more opportunities for people to qualify. Lars says having a mental coach like Always Poppy is more important than being an insane player, mechanical or fighting wise. I kind of disagree. I think having a mental coach is underrated, but I think being an insane player mechanically and fighting wise is even more important. And then Hay says NA is not run by Peter anymore. The days he was feared are over. Now everyone's going to start treating him just as another tier 1 team. Maybe. We'll have to see. I haven't seen it yet, but maybe. Guys, those were your hot takes. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.